God bless Dennis Prager, who is still unwell from an injury, a back injury that has really left him paralyzed for the last few years from the neck down. And he is someone in need of our prayers. His name is Shmuel Nehemiah Ben Hinder in Hebrew. We believe that saying someone's name with their mother's name as well has a particular spiritual power. So please do keep him in your thoughts and prayers. But I want to show you this clip of him talking about the attacks that we're seeing on Trump from the woke right, from Candace Owens, who used to work with Dennis. Dennis, in some ways, his platform, PragerU, had a big impact in growing Candace's voice. I imagine they may have some regrets now, looking back. But they also talk about, Tucker and others, and the Pope, who have been so critical of Trump's position here. And Dennis, as always, has such moral clarity to share with us on this topic. I want to show you what he had to say and then give you my thoughts as well. And just a reminder, guys, please hit that subscribe button below the video. Please like and comment and hype. All these things really help the channel to grow. Anyway, have a watch of what Dennis says. Always wise words from him.
It's like Tucker Carlson said, any killing of an innocent in war is a murder, and it's a crime, and it's an evil. Then you can't wage war. There is no war possible where no innocents will be killed. We live in an age of such moral confusion. But I don't care about Tucker Carlson. If he isn't thinking clearly morally, that's a bad sign. Happily, a vast number of Catholics have learned the sad way not to agree with their Pope on every matter.
Well, I think people certainly don't know what to believe, especially on the right. If it comes from the government, they don't believe in it because of what happened with COVID and the lockdowns and all the other disappointments that we have seen from, I don't need to enumerate the examples. Many of our viewers share those same concerns. And then with that said, now with President Trump leading the war in Iran right now, there is a pushback against him saying, well, you promised never wars. You promised no wars. Now you're getting into a war in Iran. I'm not sure that he ever promised never wars, but there is a huge pushback against him from the right saying, well, we can't spend money abroad. We can't have a larger defense budget. We can barely make ends meet. We can't buy our own homes. We can't increase our bread basket at the end of the week. We don't want to be spending money on wars in the Middle East. Why are we getting entangled in an issue that shouldn't be our own issue? President Trump, MAGA, you promised us no more wars, and now you're pulling us into these wars. And what they're adding to this is the reason you're doing this is not because you're America first, as you promised President Trump, but the reason you're doing this is because Bibi Netanyahu controls you, right? That is this new narrative that is coming also from the right. And so how do you explain what's going on here?
This is all social media. Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. They have millions and millions of followers and people who listen. Who are not followers, but who listen. And the thought that the United States of America is bullied by Israel is so counterintuitive. And so it's just absurd. You may not agree with what the president is doing, but Israel did not force him or compel him to do it.
Those who want to blackpill us are the same people who believe that we should retreat from the world stage. It really does work hand in hand, because if we are sold this concept that we are victims, that America isn't the greatest country in the world, and we actually believe it, then we will naturally retreat, because we won't say that we have the moral obligation to spread the goodness around the world. We will believe that we just need to retreat and focus in and really victimize ourselves. It seems like it's quite connected, isn't it, Dennis?
No, the way you described it is exactly right. That's why I say it's moral chaos on the international scene, on the national scene. It's exactly right. I mean, how many tens of thousands of Iranians were mowed down because they demonstrated for freedom, and it went like it never happened. The amount of attention it got.
So it is remarkable that even though it's become the conventional wisdom in the West to basically have this kind of progressive mindset that basically is appeasement to any threat, and that's the moral view, pacifism, unless of course it's anti-Western liberation, the Palestinian stuff as they would frame it, then that's fine, that violence is fine, or BLM, that's fine. But by and large, anything that America or Britain or the West does or Israel does, that's wrong. It's amazing how even like some of the religious institutions, like the Pope, the Catholic Church, will say similar things. In some ways, one wonders, what is the point of these religious institutions if they're basically parroting the conventional wisdom of the secular institutions of our times? But there's a fundamental moral error that I'm not surprised to see being made, I'm afraid to say, by the Pope. Jews, unfortunately, have had a very sad history, painful history of violence that was stoked up by the Catholic Church over many centuries. I also want to recognize we have many Catholics that feel sad about that are great supporters of the Jewish people in Israel on this channel, and but we have to, we from a Jewish perspective, acknowledge that. And there's a fundamental error in weighing too heavily on the side of pacifism, on appeasement, on basically mercy, when you're facing grave threats. And that is not moral according to Torah, which says that if you are faced with a threat, you must go to war. If you have someone trying to kill you, you must kill them first. If it's basically pacifism in the face of threats. This is the world we're in. We're in a world where there can be threats. Sometimes they can be physical violence threats. If you do nothing, you're letting that violence grow. So in a sense, you are being violent. It's that famous line of the Talmud, if you're kind to the cruel, you'll end up being cruel to the kind. This is what happened with King Saul and Agag. He was commanded to destroy Amalek, but he had mercy on the king, Agag, and he let him live. And as a result, Haman was descended from Agag, and the Jewish people faced another genocidal threat in Persia many years later. So Saul thought he was doing something merciful, but actually he was doing something very, very harsh and cruel indeed. And so this is the mistake that's being made when you say, hey, we know Iran, we have to be peaceful to them. You're potentially causing more harm. In fact, not just causing, you are. Look what happened as a result of not finishing off the Iranian regime during the 12-day war. Trump himself said, Israel, stop, enough. And look what happened afterwards. Around 40,000, it's been estimated, Iranian civilians gunned down by the Iranian regime. Why doesn't the Pope talk about that, by the way? Why weren't people in Western capitals screaming about that? Imagine if Israel did something like that. They never would. But imagine if Israel did. You think we'd hear the end of it? We never would. It's such a flawed worldview to say, no, violence is never acceptable. Violence is necessary when you're facing violence. Violence is always necessary to stop violence. And here's a way to put it that I think might be more palatable to people that lean more on the progressive side, that maybe might just help them to get through to them a little bit. Do you believe that this world can be improved upon? Do you believe this world can be made better? Sure, almost all of them would say yes. Okay, then you believe in war. War means there is bad that I want to remove or transform and make good in this world. I want to make things better. That means you believe in going to war. Pacifism is, let's just let everything be as it is. But if you believe this world can be improved upon, then you believe in war. And sometimes, unfortunately, when you're facing people that seek to threaten you with violence physically, then that war, that improving this world, has to descend into physical war, military war. But it's all moral. It's all necessary. Judaism taught that there has to be a balance of mercy and justice. You have to believe that people can change, the redemption of individuals, all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, you need to sometimes lay down the law. Otherwise, people will just walk all over you, walk all over society. There'll be no boundaries and structures in place. And our belief would say that, sadly, it seems some parts of the Western world, even parts of the Christian world, as we're seeing here with the Pope, lean too far into the side of mercy. And other parts of the world, particularly the Islamist regimes and ideologies, lean way too far into the side of justice, which just becomes oppressive. There has to be that sacred balance between justice and mercy. The world really is crying out, is desperate for that Torah leadership that can provide that, because whether you look at the secular or the religious institutions, no one seems to be giving it. Just quickly, we've all heard of heaven, hell, and the afterlife, and at some point I'm sure you've given it some thought, but the Jewish view is radically different from almost everything you've been taught, and once you hear it, it will change how you understand life itself. Have a watch of the trailer for our new JTV Plus documentary called Heaven, Hell, and the Afterlife, and you can watch the full film right now by clicking the link below in the video description. Across the world, the afterlife is described in simple terms. Heaven above, hell below, the devil waiting to tempt you, and a humanity born in original sin. But Judaism tells a story that is older, deeper, and far more hopeful. Less obsessed with fear and more rooted in purpose. A story where the soul is not born guilty, but born noble. Where the body is not the enemy, but the partner. Where the devil isn't God's rival, but his assistant, because Judaism has no second power. Where hell exists, but not forever. Where heaven exists, but not as the final destination. And where the real end of the human story is resurrection, not escape. Judaism views history as a mission, not a mistake. Other civilizations teach that we are here to earn our way into heaven. Judaism teaches that we are here to bring heaven down to earth. And to understand what happens after we die, we first have to understand why we're here in the first place. In this JTV Plus documentary, we're going to reveal the Jewish vision of life after death. One of the most misunderstood ideas, but if understood correctly, can transform your very understanding of life itself. To watch this JTV Plus documentary and access much more premium content, click on the link in the video description.